Congressman Lampson is a former teacher. His wife Susan is a teacher, as is his youngest daughter Stephanie. Nick Lampson has been a strong proponent of public education. He believes that funding our children's education is important because it allows our future generations to grow up to be independent and self-sufficient. He is thrilled to represent the Johnson Space Center, since he understands that the Space Center means to our local economy. In 2007, Congressman Lampson secured over $300 million more for NASA than what was requested in the President's budget, and recently led the charge to increase NASA's 2009 budget. Congressman Lampson served as the ranking member of the Space and Aeronautics Subcommittee. His mother, who had a 5th grade education, raised 6 children, and received $19 per month from Social Security as long as Nick stayed in school. This money helped his family stay together in those difficult times, and because of that, he has been a steadfast voice for protecting Social Security in our federal government. Nick and his wife Susan have 2 grown children and 4 grandchildren. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Congressman Nick Lampson. Pete Olson. Mr. Pete Olson grew up in Bay Area, Houston, graduated from Clear Lake High School and Rice University, and then went to the University of Texas at Austin, where he earned his law degree. His next stop led to an impressive military record, which included serving as a naval aviator in the Persian Gulf and the Pacific Basin in the early to mid-1990s. Following these deployments, he transferred to the Joint Chiefs of Staff. This led to his assignment as a naval liaison officer to the United States Senate, where he worked on some of Senator Bill Graham's congressional initiatives involving the U.S. Navy. Senator Graham was impressed and asked Pete to join his staff. Pete led important work for Senator Graham in Texas, especially projects related to military facilities in Houston, NASA funding, and the Port of Houston. Pete most recently completed nearly 5 years of service as Chief of Staff for Senator John Cornyn, helping the Senator in his efforts to protect NASA funding, establish immigration policies, and other important congressional initiatives. Pete and his wife Nancy and their children live in Sugar Land. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Pete Olson. Now we will move to the opening statements. And by a coin flip, and yes, we actually did the coin flip, Mr. Olson will go first, and the opening statements are for 2.5 minutes. Mr. Olson.
Well, thank you, Dr. Staples, for that kind introduction. And thanks to all of you and to Bayhead for hosting this vital debate about our future. We started this campaign 16 months ago with one goal in mind: make changes in Congress to create a better future for our children and our nation, and stop this failed leadership and broken promises coming from Washington. I grew up here, went to Clear Lake High School, played for the legendary coach Bill Kruger. Coaches here in the back row, stand up, coaches. Thank you, Coach. After Lake, I went to Rice University and the University of Texas School of Law. After graduating from law school, I joined the Navy. I served as a naval aviator for 9 years, and then had the honor of serving you and all our fellow Texans, working with staffs of Senator Phil Graham and John Cornyn in Washington. The bottom line, I know this district, and I know our values. I know why so many are frustrated with Congress these days. With 32 years as a career politician, Nick Lampson has a long history of telling you one thing and then breaking his promise to those in Washington. Again, failed leadership and broken promises. People all across this district tell me they want a solid, reliable leader they can trust to make the changes that help their families, protect our nation, and put progress ahead of politics. As your congressman, I promise the issues I support today will be the same issues I will fight for in Washington. American energy independence. We can be the world's energy leader. by producing more of our natural resources and using that as a bridge to alternative energy future. Budget spending and tax policies that put our families first. No more spending billions of dollars on waste. It's time politicians tighten their belts instead of ours. Strong national security that stays on offense against terrorists, secures our borders, and fully enforces our immigration laws. I am ready to roll my sleeves and deliver the kind of honest, principled representation that this district so desperately wants and deserves. I will lead, and I will keep my promises. And you deserve that from your congressman. My name is Pete Olson, and I'm asking for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Staples. Thank you, Pete, for being here. Thank Bayhep for all the work that you have done as leaders of this community and everything that you're doing to support the Johnson Space Center particularly, and this area that's grown up around it because of it. And I'd also like to thank my wife, Susan, if you would stand for 1 second, please. A lady that is truly suffered the sacrifice of my political service, my public service, and my desire to be involved in what we can do to make our communities better. And I certainly appreciate that, Susan. And Bob Mitchell for the work that you did. I know that you had to rearrange this thing because of our visit from Hurricane Ike. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it has been a privilege to be able to serve in the House of Representatives for 10 years now. I came here first as a representative 10 years ago, 12 years ago, in 1996. I wanted to come to Congress because I thought that I could make a difference, particularly make a difference with science. I've been a physical science teacher, biology teacher in high school. Saw the excitement in the eyes of children that I had taught. And you stand in front of the classroom and you get to see the future. And that's where I wanted to make my difference. And I knew that to make that difference, I needed to listen to the people of the communities in which I serve. I have done that. I have had some 600 town hall, community, neighborhood meetings in the last 22 months here, and had somewhere close to 60,000 people come to those meetings. I believe that to be a good representative, if you are listening to the interests, the concerns, the things that are most important to the people that you're supposed to be representing, then you can indeed form the bond and the relationship to use the ears more than the mouth and try to respond to the things that the community needs and wants. I promised that I would be an independent and an effective voice, and I have, and I will continue to be. I have passed legislation that has been imparted to this congressional district, led the fight on NASA, led the fight with some of the most important transportation issues that have come before us. Next year, I am poised to be the chairman of the Space and Aeronautics Subcommittee on Science when I return. I think that's just about one of the most important things that we can do for our area. The second most important thing that we can do is to continue to try to end this partisan divide that has torn the country apart and torn this district apart. I will be there to continue that promise and to do everything that I can